言うことは一つだけ。絶対負けねえ。あとはお前に任せたぞ。
Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Access with a new player analysis. This time it's for Hermann Kaltz, the Severe Risk Taker. This is the new Dream Collection character that was just released. He's pretty good. He's good in ways that it's very hard to explain. A lot of people are not going to understand how his kit works when put together, and I'm going to try to help you out with that one. I think most of the people that I normally talk to have more or less figured out what makes this character so frustrating to deal with, but most of you probably are wondering, well, I don't understand how any of this put together works together, and it has to do with being a different type of player for different kinds of reasons in different places. So we'll more or less explain what I mean by that in just a moment. I won't be covering the Tsubasa and the Aoi that are hidden ability evolved because there's no reason to. They're not really good, like, at all. There's no reason to pick them or to evolve them, in my opinion. You can do that if you want, but it's not, I don't think there's any need to. And there's certainly no need to discuss them in the same video as this because there's a lot to talk about with Hermann Kaltz Dream Collection. So let's begin. First off, we got Hermann Kaltz. Well, not first off. Only we have Hermann Kaltz, Severe Risk Taker. It's actually, it's hard to explain why he's good, but at first glance, because at first glance he's all over the place, but he's better than you think he is. So first off, let's cover the obvious things. He has a passive that makes all of his skills cost 30% less stamina. So when you pair that with a 1,128 stamina, it means that you're basically never going to run out of gas. You're going to be using skills all game. It's going to frustrate your opponents, and it's going to be very, very, very useful for you. So that's a huge plus that he has. The other interesting feature he has is that he has a 80% buff against non-flying shots, which people are clearly not understanding the entire ramifications of, which is why this particular topic is so long. See, the thing about how skills work, right, is when you use a skill or when you use an ability and you guess right in a matchup, you get a big bonus. The bonus says it's 100%, but we don't know where the 100% is applied. However, what we do know is that this is an 80% that's applied to the check, because that's how these kind of killer things work, is like whatever the result is, multiply it by 80. So we do see plenty of instances of people who use like Dreamfest Kaltz S interception to completely stop opponents regardless of what they were doing, right? You grab your S interception and you think they're dribbling, so you throw an S interception at it because you don't care. You're just going to try to beat them with math. That interception normally covers the good dribbles and sometimes the mid-range shots, right? Particularly useful in cases like Dreamfest Rival using Skyhawk shot to crash your goalkeeper. Usually Dreamfest Kaltz will still throw a interception at it because every now and then you're going to cut the shot. Because you're that much stronger at intercepting than he would be at shooting, and because your intercept is a 475 intercept cap and he's shooting with like a 255 260 cap shot, so you saw a lot of people doing that. So that's pretty much where we are with this player, right? His tackles and cuts will be about as strong against shots as any comparable block would be. That's the real strength of 80% against non-flying and a defensive midfielder. It completely eliminates the threat of long shooting without needing a skill block to do it. When this Kaltz gets into a matchup, the opponent never really has shooting available as an option, because think about, for example, Dream Collection Matsuyama. You know how he's so much better at tackling than anyone else, that he tackles everything, including shots sometimes? What if I told you that if anyone shoots against this Kaltz, no matter what you did, as long as it was a skill, you were going to succeed? So you don't have to ever block. There's no reason to give him a block then. Like, later on you'll see that I do give him a block in one of my builds, but you're out here not caring. You're just going to be like, you know, whatever, here's my tackle. And that's it. And you're just going to tackle away whatever. Maybe you're going to be like, oh, here's my S artistic interception, S30 in a Dream Cup or Dream Championship match, and you're just going to throw it at him, and you're going to succeed. And why are you going to succeed? It's because your ability is so much stronger. So yeah, he's really strong. As a result, the rest of the features available to him in this kit they're nice, but they're not the key features. Kaltz is a good 10.4k passer for Green Europe that's also a baseline competent at literally everything else he does. He's 8.4k dribble, 8.8k tackle, 8.6k block, and 9.3k pass cut. Additionally, since he always boosts himself and other German players by 3%, that makes his stats basically a lot stronger. And 30% of the time, he gives himself and other German players an additional 5% boost. That's not something you can really count on because it's random chance, but every now and then you're just going to be stronger. Also, if he gets into a matchup with a Japanese player, the Japanese player is automatically 5% weaker at everything. If you play him in full defense, he will be 50% stronger in your own penalty box. And if you do play him at AM in full offense with, say, at some point, a Germanic combination, which he doesn't have access to yet, but it's supposed to come, according to what I've heard. He's effectively one of the better options for using a 1-2 to get into your opponent's penalty box, and then using a wide pass backwards to an open forward that can't be opposed by the opponent's defenses. Now, until the A1-2 appears, that's not really a viable strategy, so I would almost always build him as a defensive midfielder. But if you do get like 2, you may want to make a second one, and then just kind of leave him untouched, but finish the hidden abilities and limit break him or whatever for offense. And the reason for that will wind up being that once you do have access to a 1-2, you'll be able to basically really be able to put like pressure on opposing defenses, because when he 1-2s and he finally gets into the box, he's going to be able to just wide pass over almost any defender, because his passing skills will be 15%. I mean, they'll be 50% stronger, and that's just way better than what people really are expecting. So there's a lot of weird utility built into the Scots that isn't immediately obvious at a glance that you have to extract out of him by building him somewhat precisely. If he were to have a major fault, it's that he's a character in a pretty bad archetype, because Green Europe is just really not that good. He's worth considering as a starter in your Rainbow Europe teams as well as in your non-archetypal green teams. If you do have Green Europe though, like you got like a 40% Mueller, maybe you picked one up by accident on the April Fool's banner, then yeah, just keep him and try playing that. That is definitely a viable option. 40% Mueller is viable if you do have the green Chester, the mostly racing one released, and you have a good you have the green Schneider that's good, and you have like green Margus. Like sure, why not? You know, like you can do it. The players are there for it. There's the new 11. There's a bunch of other stuff, and I think eventually there should be enough 15% players in Green Europe that you don't have to play like the 11 that you don't want to. You could play like the green Kluivert. There's players for you, is what I'm saying. It's hard to rate him higher than he is though, because it's hard to gauge his actual impact. We don't know if his 80% will actually stem the tide of long distance shooting. We'll see what that actually looks like in time. Ultimately, the opponent's playstyle will more or less determine his Kaltz utility. If you face against a Cannoneer team that has plenty of long distance shots available on the field, this Kaltz more or less eliminates that option in matchups and forces players into difficult weighted 50-50s, especially in one-on-one situations. And the situation is only worse when he has any amount of backup in the matchup, because they have to guess right, and usually most players are just going to tackle first, so if they go pass and you have a pass cutter behind them, like the ball is taken guaranteed. Anyways, even outside of that, his flexible, decently high stats in several categories make him a solid multi-purpose utility midfielder that should see plenty of play in Rainbow Europe and budding Green Europe teams. This guy in matchups completely screws with Stormy Resurrection Hyuga, if you're wondering, because you don't have to block to try to deal with his shot. You can throw a pass cut at it, like a huge pass cut, and that might be enough to deal with the shot. And if you throw big numbers at him, since he can't do anything else, he's one-dimensional. This Kaltz destroys that one dimension, so it is what it is. So for actual pros, hard counter shooters and matchups are in the air, making it difficult to get a shot past them. All his skills are 30% cheaper. He will use skills in basically every matchup. He has great stat distribution with everything at least at AK with 10k pass. He has great skill support. For cons, his S-Pass has a low skill momentum and no special features, and is expensive for a weak S-Pass, although that's counteracted by his passive. Also, his best pass cut has to come from a Dreamfest unit, and his best tackle has to come from a limited 2018 unit. For his limit breaks, tackle speed 25-25, and then pass intercept technique 17-17-16. A lot of people are wondering why I didn't go a lot harder on like 25-25-25 pass intercept technique, and then 25 speed, and that's because you want to shore up his tackle a little bit more, so that it is a good second option, especially because flash tackle is a thing you can teach him, and because having balanced pass intercept technique does give you something like 1200 to all three of them. 1200, 1250, you know, a high amount of that over there, and so maybe going full 1500 on all three is not too necessary. He doesn't have to go that hard, especially because it's like already about close enough, but you can optimize in that area if you want. It is up to you. You could do 25-25-25 pass intercept technique and 25 speed. That is also perfectly viable, but that's not what I would recommend. For his positions, he's an attacking midfielder and defensive midfielder. His roles are many. He is an enabler. He offers utility. He is a buffer. His buffing features are not that important, but They will be if you're trying to run European players, and that will help for your Germans, which tend to be the stars of European teams. And also he's a counter. He counters long shooting, and he counters shooting in general in a way that is not immediately apparent. So I have to put it there because people need to understand why it is that he counters that. It's not stats wise, it is matchup wise. I rate him an S. I want to rate him a double S, but I don't know how good he is in practice. On paper he looks great, and on paper all the things sound excellent, but since we need to see how he actually impacts people's play before we can give him a double S. However, I would go for broke for him if you want him. I personally am saving up Dream Balls because I really need Dreamfest Ishizaki, and so I'm probably just going to save Dream Balls until either they announce something like a Green Espadas that works as a South American player, or they change the South Americans to Latin America. So that's what I'm holding out on. Or if Ishizaki comes back on a banner, then I'll kick. But I'm basically hoarding Dream Balls until then. I'm probably not going to kick. Anyways, for his hidden abilities, he's got all stats +3. That is an S-rated hidden ability. All German players on your team, himself included, are 3% stronger. That's a great self buff and great for Rainbow and Green Euro teams. Shock Killer non-flying, 80%. That is, I rate that double S. It's hard to overstate how broken it is, though. Throwing a high-level S pass cut or tackle at a player will cover both the option you selected and the shot as well, because 80% doesn't only apply when you block. It works against any shot attempt by an opponent, so this Kaltz really slows the game down for opponents who are trying to shoot from far away. Penalty Area Master. It's not the easiest thing to use as he's not a forward or defender. This shines primarily in situations where you're doing extreme things, like if you're playing defensive midfielder and you hit defense and you're not pressing, you're just letting your entire team fall back. That worked. There was a strategy I used to use back when I used to have the green Misugi up in the middle with stand firm, and that is basically the kind of play that you would be doing if you wanted to get real advantage out of Penalty Area Master. He also has My Team, all stats +5. Its 5% is great, but a 30% activation rate is not. However, it's still, the times when it hits, you're going to be happy you got it, so I do rate it an A. And stats -5%, I rate it S. Opposing Japanese players will be weaker against this Kaltz in a matchup, which is brutal given the rest of his kit and skill support, so he does kill Japanese players outright. That's another way that he really roughs up Stormy Resurrection Hyuga. He's going to make him a bit weaker. He's probably going to really counteract any hidden abilities that he got in the first place, and by being a little bit stronger himself and also being able to take the shooting option away, I think altogether that would make for a good way to counteract players like Stormy Resurrection Hyuga. For his stats, again, 1128 stamina, that's just wild, and as you can see his actual stats are all quite high. They're in the 5s. The lowest one's shot at 5.3, but everything else quite high, and that results in 8.4k dribble, 8.1k shot, 10.4k pass, 8.8k tackle, 8.6k block, 9.3k intercept. As you can see, pass and intercept, the two features that he is best at, or I shouldn't say best, but this the things that he's most focused on. And tackle is really not that far behind, and so going a little bit in on tackle will make him just like a 10.3k tackler, which is quite nice. And then the intercept, going all in the intercept and the pass, will make him like 11.6 and somewhere in the 10Ks. And the intercept, so that should be enough to make him a dual threat defensive player with a solid pass. For his AM skill build, S Workman's Trick Pass, A Hedgehog Tackle, A Artistic Interception, S Hedgehog Dribble, and it's hard to explain about the last one. See, the problem is that if you run him at attacking midfielder, there's no access for him to learn Germanic Combination yet. It's apparently he's supposed to get it at some point. It's available on his NPC skill list, and basically not all, because it's a common skill that's already in the game. Eventually you know it's going to come, we just don't know when it's coming yet. That means your 5th skill slot, which would normally be Germanic Combinations, instead empty for the time being, which kind of sucks. I think a major reason they haven't given it to him yet is that it'd probably be real brutal if Dreamfest Kaltz had it but I don't think that's a problem right now. I don't think he's that strong out of defensive midfielder as an enabler that you should worry about Dreamfest Kaltz having it, so it might be time, especially once they release this guy. Now though, for a defensive midfield skill build, the Workman's Trick Pass, Flash Tackle, Artistic Interception, Hedgehog Dribble, and Hedgehog Defense, all in S, especially if you can level them up to 30. And this is definitely like the wild and out, I make lots of money build, because you will need 29, you will need 30, 60, 90, 100, you need 150 minus 5, so you need 145 SSR Dream Balls to make this your wildest dreams come true, although some of them are farmable, like the S Hedgehog Dribble was farmable. So maybe you don't need that many, but you will need a lot of SR Dream Balls to make this happen. You don't actually need hedgehog defense though, because it's just a nice thing to have in case you really want to try blocking a shot from right outside of the penalty area or right inside it when playing in a full defensive stance, because you also want the guessing right bonus. I did write here that it's one of the ways, for instance, that you'll really be able to hurt Stormy Resurrection Hyuga, although you really might be better off just using a pass cut anyway. And the reason I wrote that is because if you throw a block at Hyuga, he gets 15%. He gets 25% to his stats to try to beat that block. You do obviously have the guessing right bonus and whatever momentum your defense is, and also on top of that a bunch of other stuff like the 80% to try to just ignore the 25% buff that Hyuga gets. But considering that just the 80%, even without the guessing right, might be enough, maybe you don't need that. Anyway, Flash Tackle is broken as all get out, and if you can get him a copy, put it on. Same with S Artistic Interception. I wouldn't give him S Hedgehog Defense. Maybe I'd give him like Loop Pass, A, if I was being silly, or maybe like A Loop Shot at S80 just so that you can dump the ball all the way at the back. But it's really not necessary. You're fine on your offensive participation with the trick pass and the dribble, and then tackle and interception is fine. You could just not have a fifth skill or a fifth skill at all, and no one would be the wiser. So anyways guys, thanks for coming and watching this video. Let me know what you think of Hermann Kaltz in the comments below. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns about the video. Maybe you are wondering more about like how his kit works together, and you want to like talk about some examples. We can do that. If you have any comments about the video, let me know, and let me know what you thought. If you haven't already, please remember to click like and subscribe to the channel. That way you can get information about whenever I release new videos, and also if you just want to know anytime I release a new video, the moment I release a new video, hit the little bell button. That'll alert you, and that helps the channel quite a bit. Also, if you want to support the channel financially, on the bottom we will eventually have memberships back. Hopefully they monetize my channel again. We're working on that. We're making some good content for you, and we're not hosting any other stuff anymore like before. I've heard rumors that KLab will be bringing the soundtrack out, and also on Twitter the guys from the KLab sound team did reply to me, and they did say that they would work hard on trying to get the soundtrack into our hands, because they think that they just want us to have it, and so that's very cool of them. I was sending them messages during the MEFCC, so hopefully that becomes a reality. That would be really awesome. The music in this game is really good. So anyways guys, thanks a lot. Also remember, if you want to become a Patreon, we do have the Patreon link down at the bottom. Let me give some shout outs to some of my Patreon subscribers, because with their help, this is how we can get more stuff in the channel, and I can keep playing this game without having to spend out of my pocket, and it keeps my interest high. So yeah, shoutouts to Gabe Lee, Jorge Arce, Alexis Gendra, Ibrahim Alabaid, Koizar FC, Justin Thornton, Puria Pote, and Mohammed Al Hussaini. Thank you for your support every month. And if you want to get shouted out, eventually I'm going to make like a actual screen shoutouts. Like some people make like a page at the end that they show the Patreon subs. But until I actually do that, for now, you'll have to settle for a vocal shout out. Anyways guys, thank you all for coming out here. If you want to check out the cool things that I offer for my Patreon, check it out, patreon.com/nothingexcess. And thanks for coming to the video, and I hope to see you guys soon.